Zahara woke up before sunrise every day in Kubwa, Nigeria. She worked long hours cleaning homes and offices, her hands always tired, her back always aching. But she never complained. Her dream was to see her husband, Kato, succeed. He was in school, studying hard, and Zahara believed that one day their lives would be better. She cooked his meals, paid his fees, and smiled even when she was tired. People in the neighborhood called her the house girl with big hope. She didn't mind. She believed in Kato more than she believed in herself. But everything changed after Kato graduated and got a job at a big company called Megatel. At first, Zahara was proud of him. She waited for the good times to start. But Kato changed. He started looking down on Zahara. He called her names, saying she was just a house girl with no vision. He laughed at her dreams and made her feel small. Zahara cried at night, but in the day she smiled. Secretly, she started learning about business on her phone. She used her little savings to start a small snack business. One day, she traveled to a conference in Kampala, and by luck, an investor tasted her snacks and was amazed. Everything moved fast after that. Her business grew across East Africa. Meanwhile, Kato got caught in a scandal at Megatel and was fired. Zahara's company later bought Megatel. Kato, not knowing she owned it, applied for a job. At a staff meeting, Zahara rejected him publicly. She became a national hero. When Kato got his job at Megatel, everything about him started to change. He no longer smiled at Zahara the way he used to. He came home late, acting like he was too busy for her. He would sit on the couch, scrolling through his phone, while Zahara tried to talk to him about her day. He didn't listen anymore. One evening, Zahara brought him dinner and softly said, "I'm proud of you." But instead of thanking her, Kato looked at her with cold eyes and said, "You're just a house girl. You have no vision. You don't belong in my new world." Zahara stood there, holding the plate, her heart breaking in silence. That night, she cried in the bathroom so he wouldn't hear. He started mocking everything she did. "You're still cleaning toilets while I attend meetings in glass buildings," he would say with a laugh. Even when Zahara tried to share her small ideas, he shut her down. "You can't even speak like a real businesswoman," he told her once. The words cut deep. Zahara had worked day and night to support him through school, washing clothes for strangers, skipping meals so he could eat. And now he was ashamed of her. He didn't remember the sacrifices. He only saw her as someone beneath him. But Zahara stayed quiet. Not because she believed him, but because she had started believing in herself. Each insult became fuel. She began watching YouTube videos at night when Kato was asleep, learning about business, sales, and branding. While he slept comfortably, she stayed up planning her future. She saved every small amount she could and started making snacks to sell around the neighborhood. Kato didn't notice. He was too busy shining in the spotlight, thinking Zahara would always remain in his shadow. What he didn't know was that the house girl with no vision was quietly building something powerful. Something that would soon shock him and the world. Zahara knew she couldn't live under Kato's shadow forever. His words hurt her deeply, but instead of fighting back, she decided to fight in silence, with action. Every night, after Kato fell asleep, she took out her small phone and watched videos about business. She learned about selling, saving, marketing, and even packaging. She didn't go to school for it, but she learned from free videos and articles, watching with full focus, sometimes until morning. She even started writing down her ideas in an old notebook she used to keep shopping lists in. Her dreams slowly came alive on those pages. During the day, she continued her cleaning jobs, but something had changed. In her heart, she was no longer just a house girl. She was a woman with a plan. She began experimenting in the small kitchen at home, mixing recipes, trying spices, and testing flavors. Her favorite idea was a crunchy, spicy snack made from roasted groundnuts and plantain chips. She made a few packs and wrapped them neatly using simple plastic bags and ribbons she found at the local market. At first, she sold her snacks to people in the neighborhood, bus drivers, school children, and workers passing by. Her smile, her kindness, and most importantly, the delicious taste made people come back for more. She gave them a name, Zaza Bites. It was her little secret, hidden from Kato, who still thought she was just cleaning and cooking all day. She hid the money she made in an empty rice tin under the bed. Bit by bit, her business started to grow. More people started asking for Zaza bites. Shop owners called her to supply them. She even got a small signboard printed with her saved money. Zahara didn't shout about her success. She just worked harder, waking early and sleeping late. She didn't need anyone's approval anymore, not even Cato's. While he bragged about his office job, Zahara was building her own small empire with love, grit, and silence. One pack at a time, she was rewriting her story. Zahara had never left Nigeria before, but when a friend told her about a small food and business conference happening in Kampala, Uganda, she felt something in her heart push her to go. She didn't have much money, but she used the little she had saved from selling Zaza bites and booked a bus ticket. She packed a small bag and carried samples of her snacks in a clean basket, neatly wrapped and labeled with her simple homemade tags. Her hands were shaking, but her spirit was strong. She told no one, not even Cato. This was her journey, her dream. The conference hall was full of confident businesspeople, speaking big English and wearing shiny clothes. Zahara felt out of place at first, but she stood near the entrance, offering free samples of her snacks to anyone willing to try. Some smiled politely, others ignored her. But she kept going. Her heart was pounding, but she believed in her product. Then a well-dressed man stopped, took a bite of the spicy roasted groundnuts, and raised his eyebrows. "Who made this?" he asked. Zahara smiled shyly and said, "I did, sir. My name is Zahara. I call them Zaza bites." He introduced himself as Mr. Mukibi, a food investor from East Africa. He asked her about her ingredients, her process, and how long she had been doing this. Zahara answered every question with honesty and passion. She showed him pictures of how she made everything by hand in her small kitchen. By the end of their conversation he said, "Zahara, your product is special. People don't just need food, they need flavor and heart. And you've got both." He gave her his card and asked her to come to his office the next day. Zahara couldn't believe it. She held the card like it was gold. That night, she cried quietly in her small hotel room. Not because she was sad, but because for the first time, someone saw her not as a house girl, but as a true businesswoman. Her dream had just taken its first big step. Zahara returned to Nigeria with a new light in her eyes. After her meeting with Mr. Mukibi, things began to move quickly. He kept his promise. Within weeks, his team helped her improve her packaging, build a simple website, and connect with store owners in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. Zahara's snacks were no longer just being sold on the streets of Kubwa. They were now appearing on supermarket shelves across East Africa. The same Zaza bites she made in her tiny kitchen were now being delivered in colorful packs, with her smiling face and the words, "From heart to hand, Zaza bites." Orders came faster than she expected. She had to hire more women from her neighborhood, mostly single mothers and widows who also needed a second chance. Zahara trained them with love and patience. She told them, "We are not just making snacks, we are feeding dreams." The small kitchen grew into a bigger space. Machines came in. The same woman who once scrubbed floors was now leading team meetings and making business deals. She still remembered every late night, every tear, every insult from Cato. And now, they only pushed her forward. People began talking about her on radio stations and social media. "The house girl who became a boss," one headline said. She laughed when she saw it but kept working harder. Zahara started traveling for food expos, giving speeches, and inspiring young girls to believe in themselves. She opened training centers to teach other women about business, just like she once taught herself from her small phone. Her snacks became more than food. They became a symbol of hope. Every time someone picked up a pack of Zaza bites, they were holding Zahara's journey in their hands. From the streets of Kubwa to cities across East Africa, Zahara had grown from a silent dreamer into a powerful woman with a voice, a vision, and a brand that couldn't be ignored. While Zahara's star was rising, Cato's world was slowly falling apart, but he didn't see it coming. At Megatel, he had grown proud and careless. He was always showing off, dressing in expensive clothes, and spending company money like it was his own. He stopped doing his work properly and began using his position to get special favors. He would brag to his friends, "I'm untouchable. Megatel needs me. But behind the scenes, whispers had started. Some workers had noticed things weren't right. Emails were missing. Money was not adding up. Kato thought no one was watching, but they were. One morning, Kato arrived at work like usual, but something was different. Security didn't smile at him. His colleagues avoided eye contact. He sat at his desk and turned on his computer, but it was locked. A few minutes later, HR called him into a meeting room. There, he found company lawyers and top managers waiting. Someone had reported him. Evidence was clear. He had approved fake contracts and used company money for personal travel and shopping. Kato tried to deny it, but they had the documents, emails, even phone recordings. The shame hit him hard. He was told to leave immediately. No goodbye, no warning. Just like that, the job he had once used to insult Zahara was gone. The company car was taken. His work email was deleted. His name badge was removed. He walked out of Megatel with his head down, facing the same security guards he once ignored. Back home, things got worse. Friends stopped calling. His reputation was ruined. He applied for new jobs, but no one trusted him. Every door he knocked on remained closed. The same man who once laughed at Zahara now sat at home with no plan, no power, and no pride. But the biggest surprise was still coming, because the company he once worked for, Megatel, was now in trouble, and someone unexpected was about to take over. Kato had no idea that the woman he once called just a housegirl was now the boss walking toward his past. Megatel was falling fast. After Kato and a few others were fired, more problems began to show. The company had lost trust, profits dropped, and many big clients left. News spread everywhere, Megatel in crisis. People who once looked up to the company now avoided it. Investors pulled out, and the company became desperate for help. That's when Zahara's team saw an opportunity. Her business was booming, full of energy, trust, and smart ideas. She had grown from making snacks at home to running a strong company with branches in many countries. Her team brought the idea to her. What if we buy Megatel? At first, Zahara was quiet. She thought about the nights she cried while Kato insulted her. The days she cleaned floors to pay his school fees. The pain she carried in silence. And now, here was a chance to own the same company where she was once called useless. She smiled gently and said, "Let's do it." The deal moved quickly. Zahara's company had the money and the respect Megatel needed. Within a few months, the papers were signed. Zahara became the new owner of Megatel. The news broke across the country. From snacks to CEO, Zahara buys Megatel. People were shocked. Some cheered, some cried with joy. Women danced in the streets. Zahara didn't celebrate loudly. She simply walked into the Megatel building one morning, dressed in a soft blue suit, head held high, and a calm smile on her face. The same halls where she was once ignored now echoed with respect. No one could believe it. The woman who once sold snacks on street corners was now sitting at the head of the table, leading meetings, fixing the broken pieces of the company, and bringing fresh ideas. Zahara had done the impossible, not with revenge, but with grace and quiet power. She didn't need to shout. Her success spoke for her. Kato was desperate. Months had passed since he was fired from Megatel, and life had become hard. His savings were gone, friends had disappeared, and even family had stopped answering his calls. He had no job, no respect, and no idea what to do next. One day while walking through the market he saw a big banner. Megatel under new management, fresh start, fresh vision. His eyes lit up. Maybe they've forgotten about what happened, he thought. Maybe I can start again. He rushed home, updated his CV, and sent in his application the same night. He didn't know that the person behind the new management was the same woman he had once insulted. When Zahara saw his name on the list of job applicants, she froze for a moment. She looked at the name again, Kato Adewale. Her hands didn't shake, her heart didn't race. She simply smiled, closed the file, and said, "Invite him for the staff orientation meeting." Kato came to the office on the day of the meeting wearing his old suit and fake confidence. He looked around the building, surprised by how much had changed. Everything looked fresh, clean, and alive. He nodded to himself, thinking, "This is perfect. I'll start again here." When the meeting started, All the new employees sat in rows, waiting for the CEO to arrive. Kato looked around, trying to guess who the boss might be. Then the door opened, and in walked Zahara, dressed in white, glowing with quiet power. Kato's eyes widened. His mouth dropped open. He couldn't believe it. The woman he had once called just a house girl was now standing in front of him as the CEO of the company he was begging to join. Zahara stood tall, looked around the room, then fixed her eyes on Kato. "Some of you are new here," she said, her voice calm and clear. "But not all of you are new to me." The whole room turned to see who she was looking at. Kato felt small in his seat. He couldn't speak. He had come for a job. But what he got instead was silence and shame. The room was silent. All eyes were on Zahara as she stood at the front of the meeting hall. Kato sat frozen in his chair, sweat gathering on his forehead. He tried to look away, but her eyes were fixed on him. Zahara took a deep breath and began to speak. "Many people in this room don't know my full story," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But I used to be called a house girl. By someone who is sitting right here today." A few people glanced around, confused. Kato shrank lower in his seat, hoping somehow he could disappear. Zahara didn't raise her voice. She didn't shout. She simply told the truth. "I was the one who cleaned floors while he chased his dreams. I believed in him when no one else did. And when he made it, he called me useless. He said I had no vision." The room fell completely silent. Even the fans seemed to stop spinning. Then she added, "But today, I stand here as the CEO of this company. And he is sitting here asking for a job." Kato looked down, unable to meet her eyes. His face burned with shame. He knew there was no excuse, no way to take back what he had done. Zahara turned to the HR officer and said clearly, "We are a company that believes in second chances, but not for those who destroy others to climb up. Please remove his name from the candidate list." A soft gasp passed through the room. Kato stood up slowly, his hands shaking, and walked toward the door. No one stopped him. No one said a word. He left with his head low. The same way Zahara once used to walk when he made her feel small. But now, the power had shifted, not out of revenge but out of justice. Zahara looked back at the staff. "We move forward with people who build, not those who break." The team clapped. Her strength wasn't in her rejection. It was in her dignity. She didn't humiliate him. He did that to himself. And that moment, shared by all, became a story that would be told for years. Zahara's story spread like wildfire. News channels, blogs, radio shows, and social media couldn't stop talking about the woman who rose from being a cleaner to owning one of the biggest companies in the region. People called her the Queen of Zaza. And everywhere she went, people stopped her just to shake her hand or take a photo. Young girls in schools started saying they wanted to be like Zahara when they grew up. Even older women felt inspired to start small businesses, saying, "If Zahara can do it, so can we." She was invited to speak at conferences, women's events, and government programs. But no matter how big the stage, Zahara always stayed humble. She would smile and say, "I'm just a girl from Kubwa who believed in herself." She never forgot where she came from. And she never let success make her proud. She used her money to open training centers for women who wanted to learn business, just like she once did using her little phone in the kitchen. Zahara became more than a businesswoman. She became a symbol of hope. Her face appeared on magazine covers, billboards, and even on the cover of a school textbook for girls. People didn't just see her snacks in stores anymore. They saw her courage in every packet. She showed the world that even if people laugh at you, call you small, or say you have no future, you can rise. Zahara didn't just build a company. She built a legacy. And she did it with grace, kindness, and unshakable belief in herself.